Hi everyone and welcome to Valley View Living. My name is Megan. I have 6 young children and we live out here on a 10-acre multi-gen property in New South Wales, Australia. I share all kinds of homemaking content, cooking and meal planning and grocery hauls. And we are homesteading here, and we're also homeschooling as well. Today I'm going to share 2 evening meals or main meals of the day with you that we've had recently here on the farm. One of them, which I'm just starting now, is a naan bread here I'm putting together in my stand mixer. You can see I'm using my phone to reference a recipe. This isn't one I'm very familiar yet. I haven't made naan bread all that many times, but every time I have made it, I've been so impressed that every curry night or every time we have a curry, it's hard for me to skip on the naan. It's just so good. So I'm actually using the recipe from Recipe Tin Eats. I will link it in my description below in case you're interested to try that at home. It's very simple. The things that enrich a naan, I've learned, are adding egg and butter and milk. It is quite a rich dough, but when you make this one and you roll out the flatbreads one by one and fry them up on your pan, it really does become that sort of chewy, stretchy, really delicious, soft, fluffy naan. It's hard to resist putting your curry and your rice in there, maybe a bit of raita or some kind of spicy chutney if that's your thing, and just eat that up all together. My kids absolutely love it and they all fight over the last piece of naan. It's a Saturday morning here on the farm, and Saturday is that day of the week where all the chores and jobs and cleaning that piled up through the week tend to stare me right in the face, and I feel that responsibility over me. Even though, there's 8 humans living here, the responsibility seems to become something that I internalize as my own, which is not helpful and it is not accurate. But it's something that I'm definitely having to actively recognize those thoughts and work through. So Monday to Friday are pretty busy around here. That's the thing, Monday to Thursday, every morning, we've got several hours of schoolwork for 4 school-aged children, and we've got a baby and a toddler in that mix as well. So those 4 hours between 8 and 12, Monday to Thursday, are extremely busy. And then a couple of hours after lunch as well for any children that have to catch up on schoolwork that hasn't been finished. And of course, any other hours on a weekday are used up with things like meal preparation, groceries, and baby naps. So it just doesn't leave free time during the week for anything but getting the basics and the essentials covered. So by the time Saturday rolls around, I'm looking at a dining table covered with art and craft projects and books and toys, and a bathroom that needs to be cleaned, a lounge room with toys scattered everywhere, and just signs of living, of course, because we truly do live in this house. So we do a lot of living here, and there's a lot of us. Now, I've just got to clarify, I'm not the only person who does chores in this house, of course. There's 8 of us. Many of the kids are in the age where they are developing those skills, so I have to take the time to teach them, and that slows down, of course, the process of home management as well, because you're teaching somebody skills. It's not something we're born knowing how to do. But on this Saturday morning, the kids had gone out with a grandparent, which I don't say no to, because it is lovely for them to have that time together, and also wonderful for me to get a little bit of thinking space and just some time off being that switched on parent. But as I looked around the house, I just got that sense of that overwhelm paralysis, where you're looking at a huge amount of work and your brain, just no matter how irrational it is, you feel like you have to get this job done. Just put your head down and get into it and end up with a completely clean house. I know for me it can be very easy when I'm feeling overwhelmed to just walk away and find something else I'd prefer to do and just bury my head in the sand sometimes and put it off for another time. But there is a better strategy that works in my case, and on this Saturday morning I just had to get some things done. Otherwise it would all just be burying me and make the start of the new week harder. So this strategy works really well when I've got some time to myself, and that is just to do a little bit and rest a little bit. Do a little bit, rest a little bit. By the end of the day, by the time I'm starting to think about a main meal or heating up some leftovers or having something simple, then I've managed to achieve quite a few house tasks just by doing a bit of work, maybe 20-minute increments. And I've also managed to recharge myself and rest and feed myself a bit. And not just food, feed myself the things that I like to do. Feed my soul, feed myself some joy. And I mean super simple things. I might sit with a good book I'm reading in between jobs. I might catch up with some YouTube channels that I really enjoy. I might go outside for a walk, go out and play with a cow or watch the chickens, or just sit there in the sunshine. Anything that recharges me just that little bit, and then I'll feel like doing more work again shortly. So you might have noticed me splitting that butter lamb curry into 2 separate pots. One of my family members is preferring not to consume dairy products at the moment, so I've just put a serve into a separate small pot for them, and instead of the pure cream and the butter finishing off the rest of the curry, I've just put a tin of the coconut cream into there. And that's absolutely fine, it's delicious. I do it all that way all the time if I do not have fresh cream in the house. Now this naan bread, so simple, you don't need much planning for it. The reason why I enjoy it so much is it only takes about 30 minutes for the dough to rest. So while I do that dough first, set it aside to rest, and then work on the curry. Then when the curry has finished cooking and it's just sitting and simmering or just staying warm in the pot, I can roll out these naan breads, get that pan nice and hot, a little bit of olive oil or butter would probably work well too, and then just fry off the naans. Something else that I love about including this naan bread when I'm making a curry meal for our main meal is that it's there to feed my picky kids. So I have 1 or 2 picky children who won't eat things like curry. So knowing that I've made this naan bread, I can at least ensure that they are eating, their tummies are full, they're enjoying it too because they're having some of the fresh rice with us with butter, and then they can have a serve of naan on the side as well. That way I'm not having to make any separate serves or separate meals, and everybody in the family has a component that they enjoy. It works so well when you're working with so many different personalities and dietary requirements to have this buffet style meal. something else that I find super simple and super helpful when I'm feeling overwhelmed. When I look around my home and I see clutter and I see messes and I feel the weight of perceived responsibility pushing me down, well, I can't underestimate the value of going outside, going into nature. These days I'll just step outside and I'll play with my cows, or I'll check on my chickens, look for eggs maybe. But when I lived in the city, I would just take my kids to the local playground and they would scoot and I would walk or push the baby in the pram or have her in the carrier. And it was just such a good way to just level myself out, just get a grip on reality and realize how temporary all the nature of messes is, how it shouldn't be causing me anxiety. There's no reason for that. And just realize that, you know, the kids and the family are so worth the mess. One day I'll have a quiet, clean house where everything stays where I put it, and I will miss these years. I know that I will. Now this is a meal I've been wanting to make since we had our home-raised pork butchered, and that is San Choy Bow. I'm not sure if this is a common recipe to make around the world, but it is a delicious, easy treat. Fatty, delicious, juicy, and I mean fatty in the good way, pork mince with seasonings and great flavours wrapped up in a crispy iceberg lettuce leaf. It really is worth making. It's so tasty. I looked at a couple of recipes for inspiration, but I don't keep a well-stocked cupboard of Asian flavours, so I just used the tamari that I had, sesame oil, some coconut sugar, salt and pepper, and it turned out absolutely delicious. Now on this night I also had a pot of chicken stock simmering away on the stove. I love to have that happening at least 2 times a week. Every time we have chicken, I would just save up the bones and simmer them down into a stock with whatever veg is hanging around in the fridge. And the chicken broth is just so handy there if it's hot around a mealtime, because that becomes the alternative option for my picky eaters. I think all 4 of my older kids ate this and enjoyed it, but for the younger kids it was probably a bit tricky for them to experience. They can't really wrap up the mince in the iceberg lettuce. So they just had chicken broth with plenty of salt, made it tasty that way, and then some buttered sourdough toast. I could not get enough of this meal, and I handled the leftovers myself for the next couple of lunches. It was so good. Well, thanks for joining me today. I'm going to leave you with just a little snippet of my son here out in the paddock, learning to get used to our cows. I make sure he's got boots on and I keep an eye on them, but he's growing into a really cattle confident kid. If you've enjoyed my content today, please feel free to like or comment or subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye!